I heard her voice before I saw the glow of the phone. Low, sweet, different. Stop, Amelia whispered, almost laughing. You'll get me into trouble. I leaned against the doorway, watching the curve of her shoulder illuminated by the screen. The clock on the wall blinked past midnight. Trouble with who? I asked, her head jerked up, eyes wide for half a second before she smirked. You scared me. Who were you talking to? Relax, she said, lowering the phone to her lap. It was just a friend. Friends don't make you laugh like that in the dark, I said, stepping closer. Her smile lingered, careless. You're overreacting. Am I? She tilted her head, studying me like I was a child throwing a tantrum. You won't leave, you know that. The words hit harder than the late-night whisper. I felt them sink into my ribs. What did you just say? You won't leave, she repeated calmly, almost amused. You've invested too much in us. You love me too much. No matter what I do, you'll stay. I stared at her, searching for a flicker of guilt. There was none. Her eyes dared me to prove her wrong, so it doesn't matter who you talk to at midnight, I asked, her lips curved. Exactly. The air in the room thickened. My chest burned, but my face stayed still. If she wanted arrogance, I would give her silence. She stretched, yawning as if the conversation bored her. Come to bed. Don't make drama out of nothing. I didn't move. My jaw locked, my fists clenched. But I didn't give her the satisfaction of a fight. She shrugged and walked past me, brushing her shoulder against mine like I was an obstacle. Her perfume trailed after her, sweet and mocking. I stood alone in the living room, staring at the empty doorway. Her voice echoed in my head. You won't leave. When I finally went to bed, ouch, she was already curled under the blanket, phone on the nightstand, face peaceful as if nothing had happened. I lay on my back, eyes fixed on the ceiling, counting her breaths. Each inhale was steady, smug, untroubled. My thoughts clawed at me. She thought she owned me. She thought my loyalty made me her prisoner. She thought betrayal had no cost. The room was quiet until she shifted. Murmuring in her sleep, I froze, her lips parted, and she whispered a name. It wasn't mine. My stomach dropped. The heat in my chest turned to ice. I turned my head slowly, staring at her face lit faintly by the moonlight through the blinds. She looked fragile in that moment, soft, unguarded. But the sound of that name clung to me like poison. I whispered to myself, You've already replaced me. I lay there, still as stone, my mind racing through every memory, every smile, every kiss. They blurred, twisted, felt counterfeit. Her earlier words stabbed again. You won't leave. My teeth clenched. She thought she had me caged, but she had no idea I already held the key. I turned my head back to the ceiling, silent, my heart pounding with something sharper than heartbreak, revenge, and not the kind she'd ever expect. The morning light filtered through the blinds. Amelia stretched beside me and kissed my cheek like nothing had happened. Morning, she said softly. I looked at her. Morning. Her eyes searched my face. Why do you look so serious? Late night, I answered. She smiled and slid out of bed. Coffee. I nodded. Yeah. In the kitchen, she hummed while pouring water into the kettle. She was glowing like someone who had nothing to hide. That was her talent, masking guilt with charm. I sat at the table. Sleep well? Perfectly, she replied, dropping sugar cubes into her mug. Why? You talked in your sleep. Her hand paused. What did I say? You said a name. Her lips twitched, but she shrugged. Dreams are nonsense. Do you remember the dream? No, she said firmly. Why are you being paranoid? I leaned forward. Because it wasn't my name. Her eyes hardened for a second before softening again. You're imagining things. I heard it. She set the mug down with a little too much force. You need to stop overthinking. It's getting unhealthy. I studied her carefully. She thought I would crumble under doubt, but I had something stronger. Something she didn't remember I had seen. She changed the subject quickly. I'm meeting Sophie later. We're going shopping. Do you want anything? No, I said. Good, she replied, smiling brightly. Then you'll have time to calm down. I didn't answer. I just watched her sip her coffee, confident, untouchable, as if the night before had never happened. When she left the apartment, I stayed at the table. Staring at the empty mug she had left behind, my mind drifted to a memory. A night months ago, she had been careless. She had left her journal on the coffee table, pages open. I had never meant to snoop, but the words had pulled me in. Her handwriting danced across the paper. Confessions of fantasies she never spoke aloud. Desires wrapped in secrecy. She had written about people, about scenarios she swore no one would ever know. I remembered the rush of reading it, the unease, the way I closed it quickly and never mentioned it again, until now I walked to the shelf where she kept her books and pulled the journal from its place. She thought I had forgotten. She thought her secrets were safe. I flipped through the pages, the ink familiar, her thoughts spilling out like whispers. I found the name. The one she had underlined twice. The one she called her forbidden spark. I traced my finger over the letters, spurring it under my breath. The irony was sharp, almost intoxicating. Amelia thought betrayal made her invincible. She thought my love chained me. She never imagined I could turn her secret desires into a weapon. The kettle whistled again in my head. Though the kitchen was silent now, I saw her face this morning, so sure of herself. So untouchable, I whispered. You'll never see this coming. The name on the page stared back at me, daring me to follow through. And I knew I would. Asterisk, I sat at the edge of the bed. Phone in my hand, the journal lying open beside me. Her handwriting still burned into my head. The name stared at me like a dare. Sienna, I whispered to myself. The name tasted sharp, dangerous. My thumb hovered over the screen. I had her profile pulled up, her picture framed with sunlight in the background. Amelia had once pointed her out from afar, calling her untouchable. Now she was right here, one tap away. This is insane, I muttered, but I typed anyway. Hey, I know this might be strange, but I think we should talk. I stared at the message, heart hammering, finger trembling above the send button. What if she ignores it? I whispered. What if she tells Amelia? I closed my eyes. Amelia's voice replayed in my head. You won't leave. You love me too much. I pressed send. The sound of the swoosh sent a shiver through me. The message sat there, blue and bold. I locked the screen and tossed the phone onto the blanket. Pacing the room, minutes felt like hours. Nothing. I grabbed the phone again. Still no reply. My stomach churned. What have I done? The door opened. Amelia stepped in with shopping bags, smiling like she owned the room. You look nervous? She said, setting the bags down. Just tired, I answered. She walked closer, brushing my arm with her fingers. You should sleep more. Your eyes look heavy. Maybe I will. She kissed my cheek. Good. I don't like when you brood. I forced a smile and watched her disappear into the bedroom. My chest tightened as I glanced at my phone again. Still nothing. Hours passed. I sat in silence while Amelia talked about her day, her voice buzzing in the background. Dinner came and went. She laughed, showing me new shoes she bought, spinning in front of me like she was on stage. I nodded, pretending to care. My phone stayed in my pocket, heavy as a stone. Later that night, when she went to shower, I pulled it out again. My breath caught. One new notification. My pulse jumped. I opened it. Sienna had replied. A strange message. Who are you? I typed quickly, deleting every sentence twice before settling. I know Amelia. I think you know her too. I wanted to ask you something, privately. I pressed send and stared at the typing dots flashing back at me. Yes, I know her. Why are you asking? I hesitated, then typed. Because she once mentioned you in a way that made me curious. A pause. Then, curious how. I ran a hand over my face. Do I tell her everything? Do I play it safe? I typed, she wrote about you. In her journal, she called you her forbidden spark. This time, the reply took longer. I could almost feel the weight of it through the silence. Finally, she actually wrote that? Yes, interesting. I froze at the word. My chest pounded. Interesting was not dismissal. It was invitation. Why are you telling me this? She asked. I typed slowly. Because she thinks I'll never leave her. She thinks I'm blind. She doesn't know I know about you. Another pause. Then her reply. I always wondered about her. But now, I'm wondering about you. The words blurred for a moment as I read them over and over. My hand shook. Heat rose through me. Not shame, not fear, but something reckless and thrilling. My phone buzzed again with Amelia's voice from the bathroom. Can you grab me a towel? I shoved the phone into my pocket and called back, Yeah. I handed her the towel, forcing my face into calmness. She smiled, oblivious. Thanks, love. I walked away, heart racing, Sienna's words echoing in my head. Now I'm wondering about you. I sat on the couch, staring at the ceiling, whispering to myself. This just got real. The bar was darker than I expected, candles flickering on every table, shadows dancing across the walls. My palms were damp as I scanned the room. Then I saw her. Sienna sat near the corner, a glass of wine in hand, her posture relaxed, her eyes sharper than the dim light could hide. I approached slowly. Sienna. She smiled, tilting her head. You came. I slid into the chair across from her. I wasn't sure you'd actually want to meet. Neither was I, she said, sipping her wine. But your message was too strange to ignore. Strange. She leaned forward slightly. Amelia's boyfriend reaching out to me about her private journal? Yes, that qualifies as strange. I held her gaze. I had to know if it was real. If what she wrote about you was true? Her lips curved into a teasing smile. And what did she write exactly? You were her forbidden spark. Sienna laughed softly, shaking her head. She actually put that in writing. That's bold. Bold, I repeated, my jaw tightening. Or careless. Her eyes flicked over me, studying me like I was the one under interrogation. So why me? Why not confront her? Because she thinks she's untouchable. She thinks I'll never leave. And will you? I hesitated. That depends. On me, she asked, raising an eyebrow. Maybe, I admitted. She smiled again, but there was an edge to it. You realize you're playing with fire. I know, I said, but I'm already burned. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence stretched, charged, until she set her glass down and leaned closer across the table. Her perfume drifted toward me, warm and intoxicating. You sound like a man who wants revenge, she said quietly. I want her to feel what I felt, I answered. I want her arrogance to crumble. You think I can help you with that? You already have. She made you untouchable in her mind. She made you the fantasy. If she sees us together, it will destroy her. Her lips parted, eyes narrowing with curiosity. You want me to be the weapon? Not just that, I said before I could stop myself. Her brow arched. Not just that. I leaned back, exhaling. Meeting you, this doesn't feel like just a plan. It feels different. Her expression softened for a moment. Careful. You don't know me. I feel like I do, I said. She laughed, shaking her head. That's dangerous talk. Maybe I want dangerous. Her eyes lingered on me, as if weighing the risk. Amelia once told me things she never admitted to anyone else. My chest tightened. What kind of things? Sienna swirled the wine in her glass. She told me she was bored with you, that you were too safe, too predictable. She said she wanted someone who could shake her, someone who wasn't afraid of breaking the rules. The words cut, but I kept my face still. She told you that? Yes, Sienna said softly. She never thought you'd find out. I clenched my fists under the table. She doesn't know me at all. Sienna tilted her head. So what happens now? You want me to play along until she cracks? I want her to feel powerless, I said. The way she made me feel, she studied me, her eyes narrowing like she could see right through my chest. And what if this goes too far? It already has. The tension between us shifted. Her teasing smile faded into something more serious. She leaned closer, close enough that her breath brushed my skin. You're reckless, she whispered. Or determined, I replied. Her lips curved again, this time slower, more dangerous. Tell me what she did to deserve this. Her face was inches from mine. My pulse thundered. The line I swore I wouldn't cross was already behind me. Sienna's laughter carried over the music, light and effortless, like she knew exactly how to keep me off balance. We sat in the same booth, shoulders brushing every time she leaned closer. You're staring again, she teased, her eyes glinting in the low light. I'm trying to figure you out, I said. Good luck with that. She touched the rim of her glass, then glanced at me. You don't strike me as the reckless type, yet here you are. Maybe I've been reckless longer than I realized, I replied. Her smile softened. You're different from what she described. Right. My chest tightened. What did she say? That you were steady, safe, predictable. Sienna tilted her head, her hair brushing against my arm as she leaned in. But you don't feel predictable tonight, I swallowed, my voice lower than I intended. Maybe she never really saw me. Maybe she was too busy seeing herself, Sienna said. Her tone sharper now, her hand grazed mine as she reached for her glass. The touch was brief, accidental at first, but she didn't move away. Heat rose through me, every nerve lit. You know this is dangerous, I whispered. I know, she said, holding my gaze. But danger is what she craved, wasn't it? I let out a bitter laugh. She wanted someone who could make her feel alive. She just never thought it would be me. Silence between us tightened, charged, until she placed her hand fully over mine. No one else in the bar mattered. Not the music, not the voices around us. Just her hand, her eyes, and the pulse I could hear in my own ears. Tell me. Shh. She said quietly, do you want this because of her, or because of me? I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. The truth was both. And admitting that felt like betrayal stacked on betrayal. Sienna smiled like she had read my silence. Maybe it doesn't matter tonight. The tension broke into laughter again, light and dangerous. We drank, we talked, but every word was wrapped in something unspoken. When she finally stood to leave, I walked her out at the door. She paused, looking at me under the glow of the streetlight. This is a line you can't erase, she said. I don't want to erase it, I told her. She gave me one last smile, then disappeared into the night, leaving me standing there, pulse still racing by the time I got home. My head was spinning, not from the wine, but from her. I opened the door to find Amelia sitting on the couch, arms crossed, her eyes sharp the moment they landed on me. You're late, she said. I lost track of time, I replied, hanging my jacket. Her gaze narrowed. You smell different? Different? Like someone else's perfume, she said flatly. I forced a calm smile. You're imagining things? She stood, stepping closer, searching my face for cracks. Something's off. You've been distracted lately. Work, I said. That's all. Her jaw tightened. You've never lied well. I met her eyes, steady. Then maybe I'm not lying. Her suspicion deepened. She circled me slowly, like she was testing for weakness. You're hiding something. Everyone hides something, I said, lowering myself onto the couch. She studied me, her silence louder than words. Then, finally, she asked the question that made my chest clench. Who were you with tonight? Amelia stood by the window, arms folded tight, staring at me like she was trying to see through my skin. You're different, she said. In what way? I asked, slipping my shoes off. Don't play with me. You come home later. You smile when I know you're not smiling at me, and you smell like something I didn't buy you. You sound paranoid, I replied, keeping my voice calm. Her eyes narrowed. Paranoid or right? Neither, I said. I've been working. Stress makes me restless, that's all. She laughed bitterly. You restless? You're the most predictable man alive. I met her gaze. Maybe I've changed. That silence between us grew sharp, almost dangerous. She stepped closer, her perfume strong. Her tone edged with something I hadn't heard before. You wouldn't dare, she whispered. I raised a brow. Dare what? To betray me? My chest tightened, but I kept steady. Funny, considering what I heard the other night. Her lips pressed together. She didn't deny it. Instead, she turned and walked into the kitchen. So you're punishing me now? No, I said. I'm just not letting you control the story anymore. Her glass hit the counter louder than it needed to. You're hiding something. I can feel it. I sat on the couch, pulled out my phone, and let her stew in her thoughts. My screen lit up. A new message, Sienna. I swiped it open, my pulse kicking hard. It was a photo of us from the night before, taken at the bar. Nothing reckless. Just her leaning toward me, her smile soft, my hand resting close enough to hers to tell a different story. Had fun? You looked alive, she'd written. My chest ached and burned all at once. I typed back quickly. You make it hard not to. I slipped the phone down before Amelia could notice, but she was already watching me from the doorway. Who's that? She asked. No one important. Her brow arched. Then show me. I don't need to prove anything to you. Her voice rose. Then you are hiding something, I said I wasn't. You've never smiled at your phone like that for me, she shot back. Maybe you haven't given me a reason to lately, I said, standing to face her. Her cheeks flushed red, not with embarrassment, but with fury. You think you can walk around here acting untouchable? You're still mine. The words clung in the air, heavy with possession. I leaned in, lowering my voice. Maybe not for long, she flinched, then covered it with a smirk. You'd never leave. You don't have the courage. I stepped past her and poured myself water, forcing her to feel dismissed. My hands shook just enough to betray the storm inside me that night. In bed, I pretended to sleep while she shifted beside me, restless. I knew her mind was racing. And mine. Mine was already caught between two worlds, Amelia's chaos and Sienna's pull. My phone buzzed again, tucked under the pillow. Another message from Sienna? Still awake? I typed back quietly, barely, thinking of you. Her reply was instant. Then don't just think. I almost laughed, but Amelia shifted beside me, turning toward me in the dark. Who are you texting? She whispered. No one. She reached out fast, quicker than I expected, her hand sliding under the pillow. She pulled my phone free before I could stop her. The glow from the screen lit her face. She froze, eyes locked on the words staring back at her. Asterisk Amelia's fingers trembled as she stared at my phone. The name flashed on the screen, Sienna. Her lips parted, her eyes wide, and then she laughed. It wasn't real laughter. It was brittle, sharp, disbelieving. You couldn't, she said, voice shaking despite the words. I leaned back in my chair, calm, letting her panic simmer. Watch me. She scoffed, swiping at the phone, trying to snatch it from my hand. You're insane, she hissed. Maybe, I said. But remember your little journal? Her face stiffened. What are you talking about? I smiled, the kind that came from knowing exactly how much control I had over her in this moment. The one you left on the coffee table months ago. The fantasies you wrote down and laughed at when I saw them. Guess what, Amelia? Her eyes narrowed. Dangerous now, but I kept speaking. I'm living them. I'm not imagining them. I'm not pretending. I'm living them. The room felt smaller suddenly, her anger thickening the air. She leaned in, voice shaking. You're lying. This is a joke. I held her gaze. Do I look like I'm joking? You wouldn't dare, she spat, her breath quickening. I chuckled softly, shaking my head. I already did. I dared, and I'm doing it perfectly. Sienna isn't a fantasy anymore. She's real, and she's here. With me? Her eyes flicked to the screen again, and for a second I saw it. Fear. Fear mingled with fury, with that arrogance cracking under pressure. I leaned in closer, lowering my voice so she could feel it against her skin. She made your list real, I said. Every word you wrote, every fantasy you thought was safe from me, every impossible idea about her. I made it happen. Shh. She pressed her hands to her temples, muttering under her breath. You can't. You won't. You're still mine. I smiled at that, letting it linger. Are you sure? Because right now, the tables have turned. The one you mocked, the one you thought you controlled. I'm the one in control now. Her laugh was louder this time, more manic, like she was trying to convince herself she wasn't losing. This doesn't change anything. I cut her off, standing and leaning so close she could feel my heartbeat. She already chose to meet me. She already made a choice you never imagined I could make real. So tell me, Amelia, who's in control now? Her hands curled into fists. You're cruel, she said, voice low, sharp. Not cruel, I corrected. Just finally honest? Honest with you? Honest with me? Honest with her? And you? You're finally seeing what it feels like to be powerless. She lashed out then, grabbing my arm, her nails digging in, but I didn't flinch. I let her strength meet my calm. Her anger was all flash. It revealed weakness underneath. You're enjoying this, she accused. I did, but not entirely for the reason she imagined. I'm not enjoying your misery. I'm enjoying seeing the truth. You thought nothing could touch you. You thought your fantasies were secrets that only you controlled, and now you can't touch me. You can't stop this, and you can't even look away. Her lips pressed together, jaw tight, but her breathing was uneven. The shift in power was undeniable, intoxicating. You think Sienna? She began, voice trembling now. I raised a brow. She's not thinking. She's laughing at your arrogance too. She froze, eyes narrowing. If you think she'll choose you over me, you're a fool. I leaned back, letting her statement hang in the air. Maybe, but she already did in her mind. She met me, and every second of that meeting made a point you can't argue with. You might control her world, Amelia, but you don't control mine. And you certainly don't control hers. Her face went pale, and I realized just how much I had rattled her. Her carefully constructed confidence was cracking. Her control was slipping. You're reckless, she whispered. Or I'm right, I said. You always underestimated the people you thought were powerless. You thought your fantasies were safe, untouchable. You thought I'd never act. I can't believe this, she said, shaking her head, her voice low. You can believe it now, I replied, because it's happening. Every part of your secret world, every idea you mocked, it's all real. And I'm the one holding the cards. She looked at me, fury and fear battling in her eyes. You're not human, she said finally. I am, I whispered, leaning closer. But I'm also the consequence of your arrogance. Her hands fell to her sides, trembling slightly. She didn't lash out anymore. She didn't scream. For the first time, I saw Amelia completely unguarded, completely exposed, and yet, despite it all, my chest still raced for Sienna. The connection, the thrill of her smile, the way her energy clung to me, part of me wished I could stop. But I couldn't. Not yet. I let Amelia stew in her own unraveling, letting the tension build between what she wanted and what she could no longer control. My heart hammered for Sienna and for the power shift I had orchestrated. You'll regret this, she whispered finally. I let her think that. Maybe, I said. Or maybe you'll finally learn what it feels like to be seen for exactly what you are. Her lips parted, her voice low and sharp, cutting through the quiet. If you think she'll choose you over me, you're a fool. Smiled and watched her glare, knowing the answer was already written. Not in words, but in every glance, every tremor, every crack in her armor. Sienna and I sat on the rooftop, city lights flickering below us. The air was warm, but my skin felt electrified. Every glance between us, every laugh, every brush of her fingers against mine carried weight. You look different tonight, she said softly. Leaning closer, I feel different, I admitted. Her lips curved into a mischievous smile. Different? In a dangerous way? Exactly, I whispered. We talked for hours. Words flowing easily, teasing, daring, carrying undercurrents that neither of us could deny. She laughed at the way I recalled Amelia's arrogant comments. I laughed at the way she made me feel reckless. You shouldn't feel this good about what she did to you, Sienna said. I shouldn't feel this alive either, I countered, my voice low. But I do. Her eyes held mine, steady and sharp. Then maybe we should stop pretending. I froze, heart pounding. Stop pretending. She smiled, leaning even closer. Stop acting like this is just a game. Stop pretending you don't want it. Shouldn't, I whispered. It's dangerous. She brushed a strand of hair from my face. Sometimes the dangerous things are worth it. Her hand lingered over mine. My chest tightened as electricity ran up my arm. I can't, I said, though my voice faltered. You already want to, she said, voice low, almost a purr. The space between us vanished. Her lips were on mine before I could think, soft at first, testing, teasing, and then deep, demanding. I didn't pull back. I let myself fall into it, into the fire, into the chaos I hadn't allowed myself to feel in months. Her hands gripped my shoulders, holding me close, and I let mine find their way to her waist. The city below us disappeared. There was no Amelia, no betrayal, no past. Only Sienna, in the moment, raw, electric, inevitable. I pulled back slightly, catching my breath. Sienna. She whispered. Don't think. Just feel. The world narrowed to the two of us. I wanted to stop, to remember the lines, to remember the revenge I was supposed to be exacting. But every inch of me rebelled against restraint. You feel that too? She said, her forehead resting against mine. You've wanted this as much as I have. Every second, I admitted. We stayed like that for a moment. Our breathing synchronizing, our hands tracing paths that spoke more than words ever could. Desire mingled with trust, with danger. With the thrill of rebellion, then my phone buzzed. I pulled away reluctantly, glancing down. 12 missed calls. Amelia, I muttered under my breath. Sienna frowned. She's calling? I nodded, heart sinking, adrenaline still racing from the kiss. She's persistent. Persistent and suspicious, she said softly, brushing her hand over mine. Do you answer? I shook my head. Not yet. I can't let her ruin this moment. Not yet. But she'll keep pushing, Sienna said. You can't avoid her forever. I know, I said. My mind raced, imagining her voice, her fury, her confusion. But this is real. This is us. Her eyes held mine, fierce and steady. Then we fight for it. Together. I nodded, gripping her hand. Together. A shiver ran down my spine. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in months. I thought about Amelia's journal, her fantasies, the games she thought she controlled. And now the roles had flipped. Sienna smiled, and something in her gaze made my chest ache. This wasn't just revenge. This was something dangerously real. The wind whipped past us, carrying the city sounds up to the rooftop. I let myself sink into it one more time, tasting the danger, the thrill, the possibility of desire without guilt. Then my phone buzzed again. A message notification this time. I glanced down and my stomach twisted. It was from Amelia. Where are you? I ignored it. Another message. Answer me. I glanced at Sienna. She's relentless. You've made her curious, Sienna said, teasing. And jealous. That's a dangerous combination. I let out a breath. It's perfect. Her laugh was soft, intimate, and I wanted to memorize it. You're insane, she whispered. Maybe, I said. But right now, I'm exactly where I want to be. I glanced back at my phone, 12 missed calls glowing on the screen. My chest tightened. Amelia's shadow was still there, but for the first time, I didn't care about her control. Not tonight. I looked at Sienna, breathless, pulse racing. We crossed the line tonight. It feels good, she said, her lips brushing mine again. Don't fight it. The phone buzzed again. Another call, I swallowed. Reality is still here, I thought. But for a moment, I ignored it. For a moment, I let Sienna's warmth, her thrill, her rebellion, take over completely. Lines crossed. Rules broken. Hearts racing, and then I realized just how dangerous the consequences would be. I glanced back at her, voice low. Amelia, 12 missed calls. Sienna's eyes widened slightly, but she didn't look away. Instead, she gripped my hand tighter, ready for whatever came next. Asterisk. I walked into the apartment and felt the tension before I even saw her. The air felt charged, heavy, as if every breath belonged to a storm that hadn't broken yet. "Where were you?" Amelia's voice cut through the room like a blade. "Out," I said, my tone calm, measured. "Out where?" she demanded, stepping closer. Her eyes were wild, but she tried to keep her voice steady. "With a friend," I answered. "What friend?" She snapped. "You wouldn't like the answer," I said, and I could see her lips tremble, her fists clenched. "Tell me now," she laughed, but it wasn't real. "You think you're clever? You think I don't know?" "You don't know," I said quietly. She moved fast, blocking my path. "Is it her? Is it Sienna?" I didn't respond. My silence was louder than any confession. Her face twisted, a mixture of rage and panic. "You're lying." "I'm not lying," I said. She stepped back, then forward again, like a predator, unsure if it should strike. "How could you do this to me?" "You did this to yourself," I said. "I gave you everything," she hissed. "You took everything," I replied. Her hands trembled. "You don't understand what you're doing." "She doesn't care about you." "She does," I said. "No, she doesn't," Amelia shouted. "She's using you." I stared at her. "Like you used me?" That landed. She flinched, and her voice cracked. "I didn't use you. I loved you. You loved control," I said. Her eyes filled with tears, but her jaw stayed tight. "You're making a mistake. You're throwing everything away for her." "I'm not throwing anything away," I said. "I'm taking something back." She shook her head, whispering now. "You don't know her like I do." "I know her enough," I said. She stepped closer again. "You're doing this to hurt me." "That's all this is," at first I admitted. "But not anymore." Her voice rose again, shrill and desperate. "You think she'll stay? You think she'll love you? She'll drop you the second she gets bored." I kept my eyes on hers. "Then at least it will be honest." Tears finally spilled. "I can't lose you." "Not to her. You already lost me," I said softly. Her breathing turned uneven. "I'll ruin her. I'll ruin you both." "Don't test me. You already ruined us," I replied. She stared at me as if she didn't recognize me. "You've changed." "You made me change," I said. Her laugh came out brittle. "You're pathetic." "She's pathetic." "This is pathetic." "You're scared," I said. "I'm not scared," she said. But her voice shook. "You're terrified," I said. She pressed her palms against her face and let out a sound somewhere between a sob and a growl. "You don't know what you're doing?" "I know exactly what I'm doing," I said. "Then stop," she said. "I can't," I said. "Because of her," she demanded. "Yes," I said. Her eyes widened and she stumbled back. "You actually love her?" I didn't answer. "You're insane," she said. But now her voice cracked on every word. "You're insane if you think she'll ever choose you over me." "She already has," I said. Her breathing hitched. "You're lying again." "I'm not," I said. She started pacing, muttering under her breath. "I'll fix this. I'll fix this." "She's not going to win. This isn't a competition," I said. "It is," she hissed. "And I don't lose." "You're already losing," I said. Her head snapped up. "Stop saying that. It's the truth," I said. Her eyes blazed. "You don't get to talk to me like that." "I just did," I said. She came closer, so close I could feel the heat of her anger. "If you walk out that door with her, don't you ever come back." Well, I looked at her. "You don't get to make that threat anymore." Her voice broke into a scream. "If you walk out that door with her, don't you ever come back?" I didn't move. She stared at me, shaking, waiting, and for the first time since this started, she looked small. Not powerful, not untouchable. Just small. "I mean it," she whispered. "I know," I said quietly. Behind my calm voice, my mind spun. Sienna had warned me she didn't want to be a pawn. She wanted me for me, not my revenge. I wanted her for more than a game. But here I was, standing in the ashes of what I thought I wanted. Realizing this wasn't a clean victory, I turned toward the door, hand hovering over the handle. Amelia's voice cracked again. "Don't do this." I glanced back at her. "You did this," I said. Her eyes filled with something I'd never seen before. Not rage, not arrogance, pure fear. And I felt empty. I opened the door. She screamed again, her voice echoing through the apartment. "If you walk out that door with her, don't you ever come back?" Her words chased me into the hallway, hanging in the air like smoke. I kept walking. I stood in the doorway, watching Amelia crumble in the chaos she had created herself. Her hands shook, her face pale, eyes darting like she couldn't believe the world had shifted beneath her feet. "You're really leaving," she said, her voice sharp but fragile. "Yes," I said. "You don't understand," she whispered. "I'll fix this. I'll make you regret." "Regret what?" I interrupted, stepping forward, my voice calm and steady. "Did I finally see the truth?" Her lips trembled, and for a moment I saw the mask slip completely. The woman who had laughed at me, mocked my feelings, flaunted her secrets gone. Left behind was a version of her I had never imagined. Scared, exposed, powerless. "You think you can just take her and everything is fine?" she asked. I shook my head slowly. "I'm not taking anything from you." "You gave me every reason to leave." Her jaw tightened. "This is cruel," I said. "This is real. For the first time in months, I'm choosing me. Choosing honesty. Choosing clarity. Choosing someone who makes me feel alive instead of broken." She swallowed hard, her hands clenching at her sides. "You don't even know what you're doing," she said. "I know exactly what I'm doing," I replied. "I'm walking away from lies and betrayal. I'm walking towards someone who makes me want to stay." Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't reach for me. She couldn't. Not anymore. I turned toward the street. Sienna was waiting there, her smile cautious but full of warmth. She had that air about her now that I couldn't resist, the confidence of someone who knew her worth and wasn't afraid to claim it. "You're really doing it," she said quietly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I am," I said, taking a deep breath. "And it feels right." Sienna reached for my hand, her fingers lacing with mine. I felt her pulse against my skin, and a wave of calm washed over me. For months, betrayal had been the only thing I knew, but now something else filled the space in my chest. Something tender, something dangerous, something real. Amelia's voice broke through my focus. "You're walking away with her?" "Yes," I said. "You'll regret it," she spat, her words shaking with desperation. "I won't," I said. "You'll learn that pride can't protect you from the consequences of your actions." She laughed, bitter and broken. "You think you're stronger than me? You're just running." "No," I said. "I'm finally free." Her expression faltered. That arrogance that had once made her untouchable was gone. For the first time, she looked small, vulnerable, exposed. You don't need her," she whispered. I turned, meeting her gaze one last time. "I needed someone who sees me, who values me, who doesn't lie, cheat, or manipulate." Her lips parted, and I knew she was searching for words that wouldn't come. Silence settled, heavy and complete, as I walked past her. Sienna's hand tightened around mine. "Are you ready?" she asked, voice soft but steady. "I am," I said. The night air was cool against my face as we stepped onto the sidewalk. The city lights reflected in her eyes, bright and alive, and I felt the weight of the past lift with every step. "You know," she said, leaning slightly closer, "this isn't revenge anymore." I glanced at her. "Curious?" "It's us," she whispered. A smile tugged at my lips. "It feels like it," I said. We walked in silence, letting the sounds of the city fill the space between us. For the first time, I wasn't replaying words, analyzing secrets, or planning the next move. I was simply present, letting the moment breathe. Letting the fire that had once been chaos become something entirely different. Hope. I never thought I'd feel this way again. I'd admitted. Squeezing her hand gently, "You'll never feel alone again," she replied. Her eyes searched mine. And I felt a truth there I hadn't dared to hope for before. She wasn't a fantasy anymore. She was real. And I wanted her to stay that way. Behind us, I imagined Amelia in her apartment. The world she had built on arrogance crumbling around her. Friends whispering, her influence eroding, her pride shattered. I didn't gloat. That wasn't the point. Karma had done its work. I had just reclaimed myself. "You feel different," Sienna said, a teasing note in her voice. "I do," I admitted. "Better, stronger, alive." "You deserve that," she said. We reached the corner of the street where our paths had once crossed separately, where tension had once clawed at my chest. I let her guide me now, letting her warmth, her presence, anchor me. "This is new," she said, brushing against my arm. "It's real," I said. She smiled softly, squeezing my hand. "Then let's not waste it." I nodded. Not wasting anything anymore. We walked together, the night stretching ahead of us, filled with possibility. Every step was liberation. Every breath was freedom. Every glance, every touch, was proof that betrayal had been a doorway, not a prison. "You're smiling," she said. "I am," I said. "Because I'm finally choosing the right side of desire and trust." "In me?" She whispered. "You," I said, "and no one else." She laughed softly, a sound that felt like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "Then let's go forward. No games, no revenge. Just us." I pressed a kiss to the back of her hand, feeling the fire, the warmth, the reality of her presence. "Just us," I agreed. Behind me, I imagined Amelia watching from her window, realizing that the control she thought she had was gone. Not because I sought to hurt her, but because I finally recognized my own worth. Betrayal had cut deep, but karma stitched me back together with fire, irony, and clarity. Sienna leaned into me, resting her head lightly against my shoulder. I held her hand tighter. "This isn't just a beginning," she said. "It's everything," I replied. And together, we walked away from the past, into a night filled with endless possibilities, leaving betrayal and arrogance behind, taking only truth, desire, and each other.